The Invisible Audience, a hypnotic story about social anxiety. Before we begin, may I ask you something very quietly? Have you ever walked into a room and immediately felt as though everyone already knew something about you? Not because they had spoken, not because they had stared, but because somewhere inside a silent voice whispered, "They're looking, they're judging. Don't say the wrong thing. Don't stand the wrong way. Don't let them see who you really are." And perhaps you know what happens next. Your shoulders become just a little tighter. Your breathing a little shallower. Words that seemed easy moments ago disappear. Your mind begins searching for mistakes that haven't happened yet. Every smile needs interpretation. Every pause needs explaining. Every silence feels enormous. And perhaps you have wondered how other people seem to move freely, how they laugh without rehearsing, how they speak without examining every sentence afterwards, how they simply exist, while you feel as though you're performing, always trying not to be noticed, and somehow feeling noticed all the more. But what if the audience you have feared has never been quite as real as it felt? Not because your fear is imaginary. It's very real, very human, very understandable. But because fear has a remarkable way of painting far more eyes than actually exist. This is a story about discovering the difference between being seen and feeling watched. There was once someone who carried an invisible theater everywhere they went. No one else could see it. No one else knew it existed. Yet every room, every sidewalk, every grocery store, every family gathering, every meeting, every conversation became a stage. And the curious thing about this theater was that the audience was always full. Hundreds of faces, thousands of eyes, watching, evaluating, waiting for something to go wrong. Whenever they entered a room, the curtain rose, their heartbeat quickened, their mind whispered, "Be careful." And so they became careful. Careful how they smiled, careful where they looked, careful how loudly they laughed, careful how they walked, careful how long they paused before answering, careful about everything. They believed if they could simply perform well enough, the audience would approve. But no matter how carefully they acted, the performance never ended, because every conversation became something to replay afterward. I should have said, "Why did I say that?" They probably think, "What if?" The theater never closed, even at home. Long after everyone else had forgotten the conversation, the audience remained, applauding mistakes that no one else remembered, replaying every scene no one else had noticed, night after night, performance after performance, until eventually they became exhausted, not from living, but from acting. One evening, unable to sleep, they imagined walking through an old city, unlike any place they had seen before. It was strangely quiet. The streets were empty, the buildings ancient, the air warm, and still, at the center of the city, stood an enormous theater, far larger than any had imagined. The doors stood open, as though waiting. Curious, they stepped inside. Rows upon rows of seats were stretched into the darkness, thousands of them, exactly as they had always imagined. This must be where everyone watched from. They slowly climbed onto the stage. Immediately, their chest tightened. The familiar feeling returned. Someone was watching. Many people, countless people. The lights above the stage slowly brightened, not harshly, gently, softly, golden, enough to illuminate the audience. They looked, row after row, seat after seat. Every chair was empty, completely empty. Not one person, only silence, only stillness, only vacant seats, covered in years of dust. Confused, they whispered, "But I've always felt somebody watching." A gentle voice echoed through the theater. "Yes, you felt watched, but feeling watched and being watched are not always the same." They turned. No one stood behind them. The voice continued. The audience was built one moment at a time. A laugh misunderstood, a teacher's criticism, an awkward silence, a forgotten embarrassment, a time you wish you could disappear. And because the mind wishes to protect itself, it began expecting, and what had happened before, so it created an audience, not to punish you, but to prepare you. The words settled gently, like leaves drifting onto still water. The voice spoke again. "Would you like to see how the audience was made?" The walls of the theater dissolved. Instead, scenes appeared. A child raising a hand, then giving the wrong answer. A teenager stumbling over words. Someone blushing while others laughed. Someone trying desperately to fit in. Someone deciding, "I must never feel that again." Each memory placed another chair. Inside the theater, one chair for every painful moment, another chair for every fear, another for every imagined judgment. Eventually, the theater became enormous, not because the world was cruel, but because the frightened mind kept adding seats, preparing for the future danger, preparing for rejection, preparing for embarrassment, preparing for shame. The voice became softer, but there is something else you have never noticed. The light shifted again. Suddenly, tiny doors appeared beneath every empty chair. One by one, the chairs quietly folded, then disappeared through the floor. Not dramatically, not suddenly, simply gone. "What is happening?" they asked. The voice answered, "Every time you realize someone else is thinking about their own life, a chair disappears. Every time you allow yourself to make a mistake without punishment, another chair disappears. Every time you discover people forget far more quickly than you imagine, another chair disappears. Every time you choose curiosity instead of self-criticism, the theater becomes smaller. And every time you allow yourself to be imperfect, one more seat quietly vanishes." Days passed inside that strange dream, or perhaps years. Time behaved differently there. They wandered through the markets, sat in cafes, walked among strangers. At first, the audience followed. The familiar sensations remained, but whenever it appeared, they paused, looked around, really looked. The woman carrying groceries was worrying about dinner. The young man checking his phone was anxious about a new job interview. The elderly gentleman wondered if his granddaughter would visit. The teenager was secretly worried about everyone disliking her. The cashier wondered if everyone noticed how tired she was. One by one, they realized something astonishing. Almost everyone believed someone was watching them. Everyone carried the same version, an old invisible audience, and suddenly something shifted. Instead of feeling alone, they felt connected, not because anxiety disappeared overnight, but because they understood they were not uniquely flawed. They were wonderfully, ordinarily human. The theater shrank again. Soon, only a handful of chairs remained. One day, the voice returned. There is one final seat. In the center, one chair remained, unlike the others. Someone actually sat there. The person on the chair looked familiar. They stepped closer, closer still, until recognition arrived. It was them. Not as they were now, but as they had become. Years earlier, guarded, ashamed, trying desperately to avoid being hurt again, the younger self looked frightened. "I've been trying to protect you," they whispered. "I thought if I watched everything, if I criticized you first, no one else could." They knelt beside the younger version. For the first time, not with frustration, not with embarrassment, but with compassion. "You've worked so hard," they said softly. "Thank you. But you don't have to keep watching anymore." The younger self smiled, a tired smile. The kind carried by someone who has finally been relieved of responsibility. Far too heavy, far too long. The final chair dissolved into light. The theater became an open field. There was no stage, no audience, no sky, only wind, only space, only freedom. And as they walked through that open landscape, they noticed something unexpected. People still looked at them sometimes. Sometimes they smiled, sometimes they didn't. Sometimes the conversation flowed. Sometimes they felt awkward. Sometimes they forgot words. Sometimes they laughed too loudly. Sometimes silence lingered. Life had not become perfect. It had become real. And real was so much lighter than performance. Because perhaps confidence is not the absence of anxiety. Perhaps confidence is discovering that you no longer need an imaginary audience's permission to simply be yourself. And perhaps the greatest freedom is not becoming invisible. It is realizing you never needed to perform to deserve being seen for who you already are. And now, there's nothing you need to do, nothing you need to achieve, nothing you need to get right. The story has already begun doing its work, not because you tried, but because your unconscious mind has been listening in its own quiet way. Sometimes the deepest changes begin long before we notice them. So now, allow yourself to become just a little more comfortable, perhaps adjusting your shoulders or your hands, perhaps allowing your jaw to soften, maybe noticing the gentle rhythm of your breathing without changing it, without forcing it, simply noticing that your breath has been here all along, faithfully, quietly, one breath following another, as though your body has always known exactly what to do. And perhaps, as you notice your breathing, you become aware of the space around you, the temperature of the room, the feeling of the chair, or the bed supporting you, the gentle weight of gravity doing all of the work, holding you, supporting you, allowing you to let go just a little more, because right now there is nowhere else to be, nothing to prepare for, no one expecting anything from you, no conversation waiting, no performance, only this moment and this breath and the next. You may notice that every exhale feels a little longer, a little softer, as though each breath out carries away tiny fragments of tension. you no longer need, perhaps from your forehead, perhaps around your eyes, perhaps from your neck, your shoulders, your chest, your stomach, your hands, your legs, your feet. There is no need to search. Your unconscious mind already knows exactly where to soften, exactly what to release. Now imagine that somewhere inside you there exists a quiet sanctuary, not a place you must travel to, not somewhere outside of yourself, but a place that has always existed, waiting patiently for moments like this. It has no walls, no ceiling, no boundaries, only an endless feeling of openness, a place where nothing needs to be hidden, nothing needs to be defended, nothing needs to be explained. You simply exist, exactly as you are. And somehow, that is enough. Take a slow breath into that feeling, as though breathing directly into safety itself. Notice how different safety feels. From vigilance, vigilant watches, safety wrist. Vigilant prepares, safety receives. Vigilance asks, what might go wrong? Safety whispers, what if this moment is already okay? Allow yourself to be curious about that possibility. Not certain, just curious. Because curiosity is much greater than pressure. Now imagine that every breath creates a little more space inside your mind. The thoughts that once rushed together, like crowded traffic, begin slowing, not because you're trying to stop thinking, but because thoughts naturally slow when they realize they no longer have to protect you quite so intensely. Notice how one thought drifts by, then another, like clouds crossing a vast sky. You don't need to chase them. You don't need to solve them. You simply notice that behind every thought, the sky has always remained wide, open, still. And perhaps you begin recognizing that you are much more like the sky than the clouds. The thoughts come, thoughts go, feelings come, feelings go, sensations rise, sensations pulse. Yet something deeper remains unchanged, quietly observing, patiently witnessing, always here. Now imagine standing at the edge of a beautiful clearing, the morning light soft and golden, the air cool against your skin, the world not demanding anything, simply welcoming you. Before you is a path, not leading somewhere unfamiliar, but leading more deeply into yourself. Each step feels comfortable, easy, natural. And with every step, something unnecessary begins gently falling away. The need to predict everyone's thoughts falls away. The habit of replaying conversations falls away. The exhausting effort of trying to appear perfect falls away, not forced, not ripped away, simply outgrown, like leaves that know exactly when it's time to let go. You continue walking, feeling lighter, not because life has changed, but because you are no longer carrying quite so much. Ahead, you discover a calm pool of perfectly still water, its surface like polished glass. As you look into it, you expect to see your reflection. Instead, you see something else. You see yourself in everyday moments, walking into a room, ordering coffee, meeting someone new, joining a conversation, speaking your thoughts, laughing, pausing, listening. And what surprises you is not that these moments are perfect. They are wonderfully ordinary. Sometimes words come easily. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes people smile. Sometimes people are distracted. Sometimes conversations flow. Sometimes they end quickly. And somehow, none of it means anything about your worth, because your worth was never hiding inside someone else's opinion. It was never waiting for approval. It has always existed quietly beneath every success, every mistake, every awkward moment, every beautiful moment, unchanged, untouched, complete. Take a breath into that knowing. Allow it to settle, not just into your mind, but into your body, as though every cell begins remembering something ancient, something true. I am allowed to be human. I am allowed to pause. I am allowed to think. I am allowed to learn. I am allowed to take up space. I am allowed to be seen. And I am safe, even when I'm imperfect. Notice how naturally those words fit, not forcing, only remembering. Now imagine meeting someone, perhaps someone you already know, perhaps someone entirely new. Notice how your breathing remains steady, your shoulders relaxed. You don't need to find the perfect words. You simply become interested, curious, present, listening, responding, allowing silence to simply be silence, not evidence, not danger, just space. You begin noticing that people enjoy being with someone who is present, far more than someone trying to impress them. And every interaction becomes just a little easier. Not because anxiety never appears, but because when it does, you smile gently inside, recognizing an old habit, an old projector, trying to help. You quietly thank it and return to this moment again and again and again, each time more easily, more naturally, until presence becomes more familiar than fear. Your unconscious mind is remarkable. It learns, it adapts, it updates. Old predictions can become new experiences. Old assumptions can become fresh possibilities. Every conversation now becomes evidence that life is happening now, not in old memories, not in imagined features, but here, where your feet touch the ground, where your breath rises and falls, where your heart already knows how to connect. So over the coming days, perhaps you'll notice small changes. Maybe you'll speak just a little sooner, or maybe you'll smile without wondering how it looks. Maybe you'll allow a moment of silence without rushing to fill it. Maybe you'll discover that other people are every bit as human as you are. And perhaps the greatest surprise will not be that the world changed. It will be you no longer feel you must perform to belong. Because belonging has never been something you earn. It is something you remember. Take another slow, comfortable breath, feeling calm, feeling grounded, feeling gently connected to yourself, knowing that every future interaction is simply another opportunity to practice being beautifully, wonderfully, authentically human. And whether you drift now into peaceful sleep or eventually return to the rest of your day, you can carry this quiet knowing with you, not loudly, not dramatically, simply like a steady light already glowing within you, a light that never needed an audience to shine.
Learn to measure every breath, like someone counting every step. Always wondering who could see the smallest cracks inside of me. I wore a smile that fit just right, practiced words throughout the night, trying to become the kind of soul no one could ever judge at all. But every room became a stage, every heartbeat turned a page, searching faces in the crowd, listening for a sound. But all that noise was echoing inside a room I'd built within. There was no audience left, only shadows that I kept, rows of empty seats I filled with every fear I never healed. And I spent years beneath those lights, trying hard to get it right, till I finally turned around and found no one in the crowd. There was no audience left, only me. Every memory built another chair, every moment born from fear. One more reason to believe everyone could see through me. But then I looked into their eyes, past the stories in my mind. Every stranger carried storms, quiet battles of their own. The woman rushing down the street, the child staring at their feet. Every heart was asking too, am I enough for you? And suddenly I understood, we're all just hoping to be good. There was no audience left, only shadows that I kept, rows of empty seats I filled with every fear I never healed. I spent years beneath those lights, trying hard to get it right, till I finally turned around and found no one in the crowd. There was no audience left, only me. Then I found the final chair, someone quietly waiting there. Not a stranger, not a ghost, just the version of myself who believed the world was cold. With trembling hands, they held my name, certain they had to carry all the blame. So I sat beside that frightened soul, didn't ask him to let go. I simply said, You carried this long enough, and with a single breath, the stage became the sky. Now there's an open field instead, wide enough for every step. If I stumble, if I fall, the earth still catches me through it all. Some will smile, some won't care, some will stay, some won't be there. None of it decides my worth, none of it defines this heart. I don't need perfection now, I don't need to earn somehow the simple right I've always had. To laugh too loud, to speak too slow, to lose my place, to let it show, to simply live without pretending, without rehearsing, without asking for permission. There is no audience left, only life, only love, only this beautiful moment where I finally became myself.
So here are the key meanings of the story. Number 1, the invisible audience is mostly an internal experience. One of the central messages of the story is that social anxiety often creates a feeling of constantly being observed, evaluated, or judged. While other people certainly notice us from time to time, the mind magnifies this into an imaginary audience that seems far larger than reality. The story gently reveals that much of this audience exists within our own expectations and fears rather than in the minds of others. Number 2, social anxiety is an attempt to protect you. The story never treats anxiety as an enemy. Instead, it presents it as a protective strategy developed by the unconscious mind. Every embarrassing moment, criticism, or painful social experience taught the brain to become more alert in future situations. The anxious voice isn't trying to sabotage you. It is trying to prevent you from being hurt again. Understanding this transforms self-criticism into self-compassion. Number 3, the inner critic is usually a younger version of ourselves. The final person sitting in that last chair symbolizes the younger self who learned to watch every word, every expression, and every interaction in an effort to stay safe. Rather than defending this younger part, the story teaches that healing comes from thanking it for trying to help before gently releasing it from a job it no longer needs to do. Number 4, most people are thinking about themselves more than they are thinking about you. One of the most liberating realizations in the story is that nearly everyone is carrying their own invisible audience. While social anxiety convinces us that everyone is studying our every move, the truth is that most people are preoccupied with their own worries, insecurities, and challenges. This realization naturally reduces the pressure we place on ourselves. Number 5, confidence is not the absence of anxiety. The story deliberately avoids presenting confidence as fearless protection. Instead, confidence is portrayed as the willingness to continue showing up even when anxiety is present. True confidence grows from accepting imperfections rather than eliminating discomfort. Number 6, perfectionism is often a hidden form of fear. The main character tries to carefully manage every smile, every sentence, every movement, believing that flawless performance will prevent rejection. The story gently exposes this as an exhausting illusion. The more we strive for perfection, the more trapped we become. Freedom begins when we allow ourselves to be authentically human instead. Number 7, healing happens through small moments, not one dramatic breakthrough. The theater doesn't disappear all at once. One chair vanishes at a time. This symbolizes how healing from social anxiety usually unfolds in everyday experiences. One conversation, one act of courage, one moment of self-kindness at a time. Lasting transformation is built through gentle repetition rather than sudden change. Number 8. Your worth has never depended on other people's opinions. Perhaps the deepest lesson in the story is that your value has never been determined by how smoothly you speak, how confident you appear, or how others respond to you. Approval may feel pleasant and criticism may sting, but neither has the power to increase or decrease your inner worth. The story invites listeners to rediscover a value that has always existed within them. Number 9. Belonging begins when you stop performing. Many people with social anxiety believe they must become more interesting, more confident, funnier, or more impressive before they can truly belong. The story turns this belief upside down. Genuine connection doesn't grow from performance, it grows from authenticity. People connect most deeply with those who allow themselves to be real. And number 10, freedom is remembering that you already belong. The final message is not about becoming a different person. It is about remembering who you were before fear convinced you that you needed to earn acceptance. The story suggests that belonging is not a prize awarded after flawless social interactions. It is something that has always been yours. As the imaginary audience fades, what remains is the quiet realization that you are already enough, already worthy, and already deserving of taking your place in the world exactly as you are. Before you go, I want to leave you with one final thought. What if the next time you walk into a room, you don't ask yourself, "What will they think of me?" What if instead you quietly wonder, "I wonder who I'll get to meet today?" Sometimes one gentle question can change an entire experience. If this story brought you even a little more peace, a little more courage, or helped you feel just a little less alone, please take one moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join this growing community of people who are learning, one story at a time, to quiet the mind, open the heart, and create lasting change. And if someone you love struggles with social anxiety, share the story with them. You never know when a single story might become the moment someone finally begins believing that they are enough. Until next time, be gentle with yourself, be patient with your progress, and remember, you were never meant to perform your way into belonging. You already belong. Sleep well, dream deeply, and I'll meet you again in the next hypnotic story.